Hey, what's up, folks? Okay. Started out some weird technical issues, a bunch of frame drops for some reason. I lowered the bitrate on the stream and restarted everything, so should be fine now. I'm not seeing any drop frames. But a little nerve-wracking at the start. Hope that doesn't continue. All right. Let's talk about this weekend. So, this weekend I played a ton of Magic. I played in both the Saturday PTQ and the Sunday Challenge, and I played 2 leagues. Hey, Infinity, thanks to the 8 months of Prime. Appreciate you. Welcome back. Stream sound look okay? Make sure everything's alright before I get too deep into things. Alright. So, for those of you who know me and my stuff and just how I handle tournaments in general, is I'm a very anxious player. When it comes to real events, not just leagues, you know? I'm like, and I've typically avoided playing these larger events because they give me such anxiety. I get like, if I think about it a couple days in advance, I get like a wave of, you know, going through my body, like adrenaline does not, and it just does not feel good. But I wanted to play in this PTQ because I thought Goblins was pretty well positioned, and I wanted to break through it, you know? I started out 5-1. Took my loss to Eldrazi and Taxes, but it was very close. I was beating Rug Delver 3 times in a row, and I beat Moonstompy, and I beat Painter. And then I hit a brick wall because I got Depths round 7. And didn't have very good hands, and it's a tough matchup, obviously, so lost 0-2. And then I played against Stefan Schultz, on his version of Bant, and we played a crazy 2 games. I lost game 1 to a misclick, really unfortunately. I had a Warchief in my hand and a Warchief on top of the deck with Snoop, and I accidentally clicked to cast the Warchief with not with the Snoop, but with my hand, and the one in my hand, and it definitely ended up costing me the game. Just because he force of willed, and then I didn't have, and then he Jace Fate Sealed the second Warchief that I really needed from the top of my deck. And then game 2 was insane. We went to time. I lost by 30 or 40 seconds. We'll go over that match for sure. It was really interesting. But I also lost to a gut shot. And like I didn't play great in general. And I kind of went on tilt, and then I lost the last round to Achilles on Maverick 0-2. He just had a really... I could have played game 1 better, I think. But Mom and Collector Reef on the play is really good against Aether Vial. And eventually died to a Hex Drinker, which is really frustrating. And then I lost game 2 to just like him having just like a really insane hand for Maverick. So I was pretty distraught going 5-1 to 5-4. Ended up at the 62nd place, I think, out of 308, which, I mean, strictly speaking, is not bad, right? It's not that bad. It's still well above average, right? But I wasn't satisfied. So I was satisfied with that, and I was really disappointed in myself for kind of letting my head get to me. And so something I was really trying to do was fix my mental game, and what I have to do to that is play these events more often. And so I played in the Sunday Challenge as well, after kind of de-tilting and not like hating myself for my decisions. Because losing to a misclick, then losing to time is like back-to-back 2 really unfun ways to lose, you know? Like really painful ways to lose. And that just put me on tilt for the Maverick match, and yeah. But for the Sunday challenge, I was just like, I was so exhausted from the PTQ that I just got like, I could kind of get in the zone more because I didn't have any energy left to be anxious. So I went 5-2 in the Sunday challenge. I lost to Matt Vook on Rug Delver, which was my first match loss to Delver in like 8 or 9 matches, I think, against Delver, and so it was bound to happen eventually. And he had the zoo draw that is really hard for goblins to beat. You know, like no permission, just like Goif Bolt kind of stuff. And I kind of had the wrong half of my deck. Like game 1, we'll look at the matches, but I flooded on vials, which is not what you want to happen when your opponent has all creatures and you have lands and like 2 creatures. Talking about and my other loss was to You're on Relentless on Death and Taxes. I mulliganed to 5 game 1 thinking he was on elves because he usually is, and then he had Stoneforge Mystic plus triple plow, which is pretty good against a mull to 5. And game 2, I forgot what happened game 2 actually. Oh, I got like triple ported. Game 2 is weird. Game 2 is really weird. All right. So talk about the list in the PTQ. This is what I played. I played a sharpshooter because I saw some other Goblins pilots like Mike Hadley and Legacy Goblins were playing sharpshooter, and they were really talking about how good it was. And I was like, I think this card's really bad, but I'll give it a shake again. Card's really bad. it's just not good. Just is not good. I'm sorry. It's not. But the main deck was really good. Hey, CP Max. Another 8 months with Prime. Appreciate you, friend. The rest of the list I think was really good. I'm actually really, really happy with this deck list. I did play some leagues as well. I had a 5-0 and a 4-1. And this sharpshooter is getting replaced with a 3rd Cratermaker is my decision. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But I want to go over some of these matches, because some of these matches were really, really interesting. So overall on the weekend, I went 5-4, 5-0 in the league, 5-2 in the... I got 17th here out of 81. 17th kind of sucks, to prizing-wise. But my whole goal going into the Sunday challenge was just like literally show up and play. Like, I'm framing this as training being in events. And that is how I'm trying to think of it. And I think it's a much healthier way to look at it, and it's easier on my brain. Because I really do get quite anxious about these premier events. But 5-2 I was really happy with. Okay. So I don't want to hit all these games. Yeah, process, exactly, yeah. Also, I'm used that the automod caught Biatch. I'm not going to go over all the games, but I do want to point out games that had, like, particular, like, something interesting happen in them. Something to learn from. This game 2 against Painter. This hand's obviously great. There's like actually just like a specific turn I want to get to because I thought it was pretty cool. So turn 1 Welder, turn 2 Recruiter for Painter. Draw the Lackey, Waste your Tomb. So here I'm set up to Lackey Expert. It's a little dicey because if they have a land and can play Painter, if I kill, like, basically just be trading everything for everything else. Like, both lackeys will get blocked, the Painter will die. I was scared of like land plus Petal or like a Mox or something, because then they can weld out. Okay, but they go for the Copter instead because of their land light, so that makes sense. So here's the spot. How do you get both lackeys to connect? Or, sorry, one lackey to connect. Sharpshooter would be fine here. Would it? I don't see 3 mana. Okay, technically we do have 3 mana, but... So I just thought this was a really funny spot because you kind of have to bait your opponent in that. So if you just Munitions Expert the Goblin Welder, that is crew the Smuggler's Copter, then they have 2 blockers, right? So I go to attacks first, and I'm counting on the fact that they will crew because they don't want to trade their welder. And that is exactly what happens, and that lets the Munitions Expert take out the copter. And then Muxus drops, like, actual lethal, yeah. Matron for Pashalik. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19 damage. So I just thought that was a neat, like, kind of thing where your opponent has to make the first move, and you have to make this attack where if they just, like... But the thing is, like, if they block and they don't crew, it's not that bad for you, because then you can go cast Skirk, Violent Piledriver. If they can cast their Painter, then you can expert the Painter in your upkeep, and you're like... You're not, like, behind or anything. Alright, so that was round 1. That was Moonstompy. Round 3, some of these Rug Delver games. Let's check some of these Rug Delver games. Because a lot of people want to know about how the Delver matchup goes. On the play, this one, I knew my opponent was on Delver because I played them, like, the other day. Sand here, it's risky, right? If Lackey gets dealt with, you only have the Mogg War Marshal as another play. You don't have a basic land. You can't cycle Gempalm or cast an Expert, so the mana here is not very good, but it's very high upside hand, right? Alright, so the Chain Lightning takes out the Lackey, but we do draw basic at least. I don't want to expose my Wasteland in case they're on a one-lander. So Delver. Play this Major for Gempalm because I'm going to be able to kill the Delver no matter what. Unless they, like, natural flip, have double bolt in hand plus under their red source. And even that I could play around with the Wasteland. And if I got Expert, they could just Wasteland the Cavern and then potentially force the Expert. So Ponder no Shuffle Pass. Draw War Marshal, which is great. So now there's nothing that stops this Gempalm. So now I'm just thinking about Stifle. So upkeep, they flip on Bolt, they shuffle away a Bolt, which tells me they have at least 1 Bolt in their hand, right? I don't think you ever shuffle away the first Bolt against goblins. Here's Uro. Ponder Delver. So don't need to pay Echo here. I've got stuff to do with my mana. So Lackey, attack for 4. I can't waste them off Uro. It's just, like, not a thing I can do. So here so I know this Bolt's gone. So what I'm actually trying to do here is set up to kill them with the Sling-Gang when they play Uro, and then hope they don't have another red source. So I'm actually going to Wasteland the Volcanic here. Also, I can Gempalm Uro next turn, which is pretty cool. So their Delver does flip to Bolt. Again. And they do have a Wasteland, which is pretty annoying. Now we're in a little bit of a dicey spot. Draw land at least. Here I'm doing I play the Vial before playing my land because if I have a daze there, I really want them to daze the Vial because that much increases the chances of Sling-Gang resolving. And here I just swing in because I don't want to give up all this damage. I lose my Lackey, but I hit them for 6. Down to 8, play my land. Uro comes back. Now they're at 11. But my plan of wasting the Volk is kind of working. And I could be being a coward here, you know? Maybe I am supposed to slam. But the fact that they'd force negation doesn't mean they don't have days, because pretty sure they would force of negation, because this is like literally a dead card outside of hitting the Vial. And the Hull Breacher, they can see that they are never going to cast that Hull Breacher, most likely. And it's like pretty not relevant, so Matron on top is okay, but I know this is just going to get bolted because I know they have a bolt in their hand. So this game's kind of slipping away from me. And then they have another Wasteland, yeah, and a Goyf. They have Stifle. Which sucks. Now they're up at 17. I have to start blocking. Yeah, this is getting pretty bad. They're at 23, so now the Sling-Gang can't kill them. I am forced to cast the Sling-Gang, and then finally they do actually have... They have Force and Daze, but I mean, they've drawn a lot of cards at that point, so I don't know at what point they had the Force and or the Daze, but I think waiting was necessary. I think the questionable thing was playing the Matron plus Lackey plus Wasteland instead of playing Lackey plus Sling. But the problem with, like, they would have just flipped the Delver to the Bolt and then bolted the Sling-Gang, and then I have to Matron for another Sling-Gang, or, like, I guess theoretically Piledriver. But Uro gained them just, like, way too much life. It was, like, very close game. So sideboarding, I kind of trimmed around the edges here. So I cut both the Warchiefs, I cut one Muxus, cut one Piledriver, one Snoop. I'm not sure which is better. Like, I want one Piledriver in my deck 100% against Delver. Like, absolutely want one, at least. Don't know if you need two. Snoop's kind of the same way. And then Lackey, you're boarding in 3 Rebs, 2 Relics. So you're boarding a bunch of 1-drops, so you don't need the Lackey as much. I know it looks weird on the play, but Lackey... Also, like, people playing Rough Tumble and... Blazing Volley, so Lackey's a little bit worse in multiples. Yeah, on this Snoop turn, I maybe could have gone for it. That was definitely reasonable. So I mulled that hand just because it's really bad against a lot of things they're likely to have in their opener, if that makes sense. Like, the type of hands that Delver will look for on the draw against Goblins are good against that hand, that 7. Let's see if this Decklist command is actually updated. It's almost exactly the same. So that's fine. All right, so we're on a 6 here. What do we put back? I think I put back, yeah, I put back Reb. Just because it's not castable, and since I saw that they're playing Stifle, I want to have 2 Matrons. Prospector makes that feel a little bit silly, but... No, I've resolved both Vials, and they didn't have a turn 1 Delver, so I feel like I'm in a really good spot. This tells me... I don't know. I thought they were going to braid a Vial here. Draw a Wasteland, which is cool. Actually make a huge mistake here. Like, an absolutely massive mistake. So I port. And then I don't Wasteland. So why didn't I Wasteland? fear of them having a Wasteland or like a Braid in response, but they would have cast a Braid if they had it. Bar where they would have cast. Yeah, I think this was just like I clicked through too quickly, didn't think it through. Because I get like giga punished here. Because they get to do this thing. I wastelanded there because I kind of realized my mistake. Which is not the best. Yeah, and then they've haha, turn 3 Uro through port. Fetch land's broken. But now we're like, where's that Reb? That Reb would have been so good. Draw land. So now it's like, okay, we gotta extract maximum value out of all of our cards because we're facing down an Uro pretty fucking fast. We don't have any Haste Lords. Well, we have 2 Matrons. There's like a million lines here that you could take. We have no information on their hand, really, other than they probably don't have a Braids or whatever yet. So I'm inclined to pass here. Hopefully, like, port plus them casting stuff. I don't have to worry about Stifle too much. At least I have 2 Matrons if they do have Stifle. I port red because I want it to be harder for them to hold up bolts on my turn. Whereas a Trop being held up doesn't really represent a whole lot. So, pretty bad brainstorm, the first one, at least. They don't have a land. Ponder. No shuffle. They bolt the Prospector. So that says they're scared of getting Muxus or something. But now what? We have free reign here. So we can use the Vial onto this turn or not. We can take up to 4 and 3. Do something like that. But here, like, we're pretty behind on cards, and this Uro's generating them cards every turn. So I think you kind of have to go for a Ringleader here and hope it's a good Ringleader that can really put you ahead. Viola in my upkeep because I don't know if this wants to go to 3 or stay at 2. Because I hit like Munitions Expert and like some other 2-drops, I'll leave this at 2, and then I'll just cast this Matron as a 3. So I just hit Chainwhirler. This is obviously kind of lame. Stay 3. There's a Relic. I'm not casting this Chainwhirler this turn. I'm not vialing it in, so pretty free to play this Relic here. And that gets a Force. It's fine. Still porting red here because I don't want them to be able to bolt as freely. We are going to have to start blocking next turn. Another Uro. 23. They don't have any lands. So this port is definitely helping us out quite a bit. Grab another Ringleader because we need bodies. Need bodies. So Ringleader again, do the Ringleader thing. Because we don't want to take this Vial up to 5 if we hit Muxus. And we hit Matron, Cratermaker, Piledriver. Those are quite good. So this one will stay at 3. And this one go to 5 because I'm playing on Matroning for Muxus next turn. Draw an Expert, also quite good. Unfortunate that we don't have a land. Because I would love to go 2-drop plus port. But this is still fine. I'm violating the Chainwhirler here because I was worried about a some sort of soft sweeper effect and this survives all the ones that they play. So if they go like Blazing Volley, it only kills these. If they go Rough Tumble, it kills everything except this, which is still pretty bad, but you know, I still have something on the board. And if they're playing either of those cards, then they're not bringing back Uro. Ponder Shuffle, Brainstorm. There's a Blazing Volley. And a Chain Lightning, and a Delver. So now they got one card, they're basically out of cards. So now we're full Muxus mode. Okay, replay's bugging out, but you can imagine how this game goes, you know? You Muxus, attack, cast Piledriver, or you dead. And game 3 is really silly. Game 3 is really silly. This kind of show I had this type of game happen twice in the PTQ. So I'm Olgan. Wait, hold on. Let me go back to that because that hand was actually pretty close. Yeah. Okay, it's actually not that close. No one drop on the draw. Can't cast Reb or this. Really bad against Wasteland. Yeah. Obviously unkeepable. Red sources. Double Wasteland. It's like, yeah. Here's a 5. Our 5 is the best we've had so far. We do have a Vial. Prospector enables the blast. We waste in a port. So I put back Prospector because it's redundant, and then the Ringleader because it's so expensive. Opponent goes Ponder Shuffle. You know what this says? This screams Wasteland me. Yeah. And then they go Wasteland Pass. Lackey, Vial gets forced. They don't have a land. But neither do we. So I think we both draw go for like, oh, just one turn, but then the Lackey gets forced, right? So they double force. And then Wasteland again. Here's my 1/1. Here's my Relic. Trying to eat their yard in case of Hooning Mandrels, but I draw another basic, which is really good. Now we're in business. Because if they had a third Force Will, which I don't think they did, then I could sack Skirk to Rebbit, and then I'm just like doing fine. I get Snoop here because I want to filter the top cards in my deck to some extent, and I don't want something as expensive as Ringleader, and I don't want something as kind of monolithic as Piledriver. That makes sense. It's not as one-dimensional. Snoop can just be anything. I want to draw cards. All right, and there they go. Trop, Ponder. I snap off the blast because I really don't want them to be filtering, and the second blast is kind of redundant, especially with the Relic to cover Uro anyway. And then I draw a Wasteland. And now they're just like really screwed. My top card's Ringleader. So draw Ringleader, and there's a Matron on top. And then a Cavern on top, but that would get shuffled anyway. I think they concede there, yeah. So 2 Wastelands, pretty good, as it turns out. But I think the Reb on the cantrip was also really good. So yeah, 10 turns, but like nobody did anything. It's kind of a funny game. All right, so I played against Rogue Delver 3 rounds in a row. Trying to remember if there's any of these other games were like particularly good. There's one other game like that where like a single Wasteland just like totally bodied them. I don't know. This was my loss against Ian. Oh yeah, this is Eldrazi Taxes. Yeah, so game 1, they have turn 2 Thought-Knots here. Matron. I think I just kind of draw bad this game. Oh yeah, oh no, they have just an insane draw. They have turn 2 Thought-Knot, turn 2 Ballista for 2. And like I'm like, okay, I'm okay here. I'm okay here. And then they have another Ballista. So they just top deck Ballista for 3. So I'm forced to get Cratermaker to not die. And I draw a file. And I have this thing. And then Snoop gives me nothing. And they could just freely kill the Snoop since they know my top card support. Yeah, so triple Vial, obviously really heinous. Game 2 is not interesting. Game 3, I'm going to see if I messed up here. I may have just like played this badly, but I'm not really sure. Sideboarded. I didn't board in the Blood Moon because they're playing... I don't know. I probably should have boarded in the Blood Moon, but I thought... They have Mox Diamond for mana fixing. They have... I don't know. I probably should have. Hey, Chris1, thanks for the raid. Yeah, I probably should have brought in the Blood Moon. Now this hand looks great. I was really happy with this hand. So Wasteland Ghost, I thought, okay, they're gonna have another turn 2 Thought Knot, but I can Kinesis it. But they once upon a time into the Walking Ballista, which is like kind of tilting. And they have double Wasteland, so I'm like, ugh. But I have a mountain on top, which is good. To this thing, it's like, this doesn't really matter. I have another waste. Okay, so here's the thing. This Snoop is good, but it's also like making me sequence awkwardly because I really like I wanted to keep the card on top. But I don't know if that's just like a bait. Because I would really want to Matron for Cratermaker or probably Munitions Expert here. Or Gempalm or something. But I was like, okay, I want this mountain that's atop my deck because they have 2 Wastelands. So I play the Pashalik. And then I believe they play Karn here. And they have a Karakas. This Karakas, like, utterly murders me. They have big Karn. I give them the Plains. Yeah, Snoop got a lot better when Dreadhorde and Oko got banned because it's not an Elk, and Delver decks don't have infinite bolts in their deck anymore. So here I pitch War Marshal, which is maybe a mistake. I don't know. I wanted to keep both Matrons because Thought-Knots here. I mean, the whole idea, I only really tried out Snoop again because someone got 9th in the last PTQ with Snoop combo goblins. So I was like, okay, maybe the Snoop card's actually good. So I think they get credit for that. So I have Port on top, which is okay. I hit Karn to 1. This Karakas is really annoying. And then they have just like this insane turn. I give them the Mox Diamond instead of Thalia. And then they've Thought Knot, Karakas, and Plow as their last cards, and Wasted. So like that, like I was so far ahead, and then all that happens, and now I'm behind. Like that was such an insane turn for them. So Pashalik, you know, the Karakas is tapped at least, so the Pashalik forces a trade. Which is really good for me. I don't play the land, which I believe is correct. And then, yeah, their Karn uptick hits Smasher Ancient Tomb. I was like, okay, give you Ancient Tomb. And then they drew a Smasher for turn. So, Cratermaker, they bounce Pashalik. So, like, obviously, this Karakas is honestly the reason I lose this game. Because if I had hit for 2, then I get to go Cratermaker, kill this. And then they have no cards. And then I can go Matron plus Skirk and, like, lock them out. Playing this land kills me, I think, eventually. But it lets me play the Skirk, too. And then they get back the other Smasher. Maybe I should have just popped Karn immediately. Maybe that's the line. I take 5 more. Oh, no, it's the same, actually. I play Matron. And I have Displacer. I can't really beat the Displacer. Just barely. Yeah. So I just get stuck under the Karn. Okay, so if I just blown up the Karn, because I knew it was going to get Smasher. I just needed to tank 1 extra hit from Smasher so they wouldn't get a second one. Yeah. Okay. Cratermaker the first Smasher. Or the first Karn. That was the line. And I just needed 1 more land here. Well, not just, but it would have helped. Yeah. I think I maybe could have gotten out of this if I had done that, if I Cratermaker the Karn. Okay, so that's the lesson. That's the mistake there. Playing the land was arguably okay. Also, like, I keep drawing these late game vials. It's feeling pretty bad. But I thought their deck was, like, relatively vulnerable to Vial. But obviously it feels really bad to draw them turn 8 and 9. Or 9 and 10. Blood Moon would have been really good. So maybe Blood Moon should have come in. Yeah, let's look at round 8, because that's like this game 1 was. This was the misclick. I don't know what my opponent's playing, but it's mental misstep. Keep a medium hand. This game's actually really instructive for, like, how to not use port. So I'm assuming he's on bank control. Takes 8. All right. So the thing is here, I should have realized that, first of all, he can't bring back Uro next turn for 2 reasons. 1, because his mana doesn't let him, and 1, because his mana doesn't let him, 2, because he doesn't have a Delve, or the escape cost yet. So I was like, oh, I want to limit his mana, and I port him, but it doesn't actually do anything. And porting instead of playing Matron cost me this game. So I got him down to 9. But yeah, this port is just really bad. And porting green is even worse. I think I should have ported blue. Because now Brainstorm into Force. Now he's Delve and Plow. So here's Uro. I do Muxus here. And it's a pretty bad Muxus. Like, it's 3 goblins, but this is the only good one. This is, like, obviously literally just a 2-1. This is very mediocre. And he goes Manamorphose, Snapcaster Plow, which I was like, what the fuck, Manamorphose? Pashalik on top is okay. Warchief on top is good. I'm like, okay, I need to get damage in, and then this Ice Fang Quaddle is like really, really annoying. I mean, I still get some points in, but it's pretty painful. I'll play the second Snoop. Snoop there over War Marshal because I think this War Marshal is going to get discounted by the Warchief next turn. So EE on 3 pops it. He loses 0 though. And then this is the misclick. Right in the game, I had it like here, and on my at the time this was much closer to this, and I click on this instead of clicking on this. And yes, force. And so that, and he has another Quaddle. But if that didn't happen, if there's a Warchief, or the next card on my top of my deck is a land. If he forces the Warchief from the top of my deck, I do the same play, but I'm going to be drawing a land for turn. And he Fate Seals the Warchief away. If the, like, I don't think he would, there's no way he'd Fate Seals as a fetch land away, right? But if I have 6 mana here, then I can go Warchief, Matron, Piledriver, swing for lethal. And instead I'm forced into a Ringleader line, which is like way higher variance and does not work out. So now I'm just getting Jace Fate Sealed out, and he can't cast his Uro through the port again, but I can never find a Cavern, and he has counter spells anyway. So I'm trying to wait on this as long as I possibly can, because I'm like 99% sure he's a Force of Will. So I port there to make it so he would need a blue card at least, but it's like very likely that he does. Yeah, that misclick casting the wrong Warchief, one from hand, one from top deck, cost me the whole game. I would have had lethal like multiple turns ago. It's pretty frustrating. And then game two is kind of silly. I lose to Gut Shot. I also didn't really know what was going on, so I sideboarded in a way that ends up being really painful. I sat out a Gempalm, and oh, I don't have Chainwhirler in my deck. Okay, so that comes up later. I boarded in 1 Relic, 1 Surgical, 3 Blasts. I guess I boarded in the Sharpshooter. Yeah. Sounds good. I saw EE last game, and I think I make a mistake of not playing around it as much. I think I should have not played this vial. I think playing this vial was a mistake. I should have held it. Now, at least I don't play the Relic as well, but yeah, EE for 1. Yeah, if I had 1 active vial this game, it's a hell of a lot easier. So he does have Uro, but at least I do have the Relic still. It does throw off this matroning sequence though. It takes me off a turn. But it cantrips and Ringleader, which is nice. Waddle trades, it's fine. Matron for Warchief, I want to unlock my hand. He plays an Ooze, and it's a 4/4. And as we remember, I sided out one of my Gempalms. It's pretty awkward because I only have one expert left and I have one Gempalm to kill this ooze. So Ringleader, pretty good Ringleader. Finds me the Matron for the expert. Or the Gempalm, rather. I get the expert. I should... Yeah, I play the War Marshal here. So Council's Judgment, the Ringleader. I'm like, okay, I'm doing well. He's using cards on cards that don't matter. Pay Echo. Yeah, paying Echo ends up being really bad. I was thinking I don't want him to let it grow the ooze, and it's like I know he's playing Supreme Verdict. Okay, so maybe, you know what? Actually, no, this is fine. I did not misplay this. It just felt like a misplay in retrospect, but there's no universe where I'm playing around Gutshot. Yeah. Maybe he's supposed to attack there? I don't know. And he's a Mentor. Muxus. Pretty decent Muxus. Grab my Gempalm. Plow. I don't sack it to Sling-Gang, so he can't grow the ooze. Cost me 1 damage, but I think it's fine. Snap. Ponder. Burrow. Here's another Muxus. I killed the ooze here. I should have killed the Mentor. Alright, the replay's gonna bug out here. This game goes on for quite a while. Yeah, I have no idea why he had got shot in his deck, but he did. Maybe it's for elves, for Allosaur Shepherd, but it was very frustrating to lose to Gutshot. What eventually happens is I kill this ooze, this Mentor makes like 9 tokens, and I eventually lose. This game ends with me on... I die on time, and then he has 3 cards in his library, I think. This game's like honestly insane. But I go like Cratermaker, jump. Yeah, okay. No. I played as if his last card wasn't Plow, but it definitely was. I mean, I don't know how much I'm allowed to play around it. I think I should have Cratermakered the Mentor first and see if he casts a spell in response. See if he can keep the Mentor alive through the Cratermaker. And if he can, I Gempalm the Mentor. Yeah, I just didn't have enough removal in my deck for all these creatures left. My Pashalik was gone too. Got plowed earlier. Yeah, the replay's gonna bug out. It's kind of insane that I lost this game. But the Gutshot blowout, meaning that this isn't dead, meaning that this doesn't go after this, is what kind of does it. Yeah, sometimes you lose to Gutshot. But I think I was understandably tilted after this game. Because I was so far, you know, he's casting Council's Judgment on a Ringleader. Like, I'm so far ahead. Look how many cards. I have 5 cards in hand, he has 2. I do eventually find, like, in like the last turns, I find Reb and Surgical for Uro. It just doesn't matter. I'm just too low on time. He finds an EE on 2 that sits in play for forever. He also has Containment Priest for Muxus, Or second Muxus. It was like a pretty thoroughly frustrating game. It was a good game, but my sideboarding really cost me. I needed one or two more. I needed the Chainwhirler in my deck. I actually kept playing because I thought I had a Chainwhirler in my deck. I forgot that I didn't side it in. Or that I sided it out. Because I normally side it out against Bant, because it's not very good against Bant. But if you're playing Mentor and, like, all this other stuff. Yeah, so it goes down to him on 48 seconds. It was very, very close. Setting out the second Gempalm was really rough, though. But normally I think it's fine against Bant. But if they're playing Mentors, too, then obviously you want both this and this. Yeah, that was and then this is like whatever. That was just me tilting off. But this is the Sunday challenge. Did a lot better in this one, 5-2. JPR, thanks for the sub, dude. Hope you're doing well. All right, so this is, I want to look at this game because it's kind of hilarious. This is game 2 against Standstill, Sharkstill. Still playing the Sharpshooter at this point. Mr. Vaz, thanks for the follow. Rebs and what else came in? Rebs and hold on. Thorn. Yeah. Great hand against Standstill. I don't play my Vial on turn 1 because I think the way I would lose this game would be force of Vial play Standstill. That would be like really annoying. Whereas if like I Reb their Standstill and they force it, that's still kind of bad, but then the Vial is more likely to resolve? Question mark? They don't have force, so maybe I just should have jammed the Vial. And then play a Torpor Orb. My hand is literally 4 ETB creatures. Like, okay, I have 1 Cratermaker in my deck. I'm not playing through this. I'm not killing this anytime soon, so here's my 3 mana 1/1. I didn't play this other Matron just in case I drew the Cratermaker. I probably should have played it, though. But this does represent Reb as well, though. Council's Judgment. Sad. More 1/1s. And a Ringleader. There's a 4/4 Shark, but I do get to Gempalm it. Here's more hasty 2/2s. I'll play a Live Leak tonight too, but yeah, probably. Port. They have Shark Typhoon back in their hand. My 4 mana 2/2 haste gets Force of Willed, which is kind of hilarious. I take the turn off from attacking because I know they're going to make a Shark, and I want to develop this Vial. So Narset finds a Jace. So Piledriver, which is one of my few cards that matter, and then they have Spell Snare. Ah! Could have waited on the Vial, for sure. Definitely could have waited. And then they have a Moat. Torpor Orb plus Moat. Yeah, always with the Spell Snare, indeed. So Jace Fate Seals me. Here's more 1/1s. Pay Echo, because I need this to... I need this Sling-Gang. Port the Hall. Fates on me, or they brainstorm. I'm not sure which. Draw Pashalik. You're not really allowed to wait here because your opponent has an active Jace. But you gotta remember to port the Karakas here, otherwise they can bounce Pashalik in response to the Vial. That opens some Time Spell Remastered. I did one draft. I didn't even bother to play it, but I opened an Old Border Chalice online. I didn't buy any paper product. Yeah, it's like kind of ridiculous that I won this game. They didn't have a plow for the Pashalik. They just never draw a plow in this whole game. They went through half their deck and didn't see a plow. Yeah, this one, like, obviously I was very confident I would win this match regardless because they were at 6 minutes and I was at 16. This is game 2 and I'm up a game. It's like impossible for Standstill to win a game in 6 minutes. It's probably gonna take another 2 minutes to kill me. Like at Old Border Kikis, nah. Oh, it's awesome, Mr. Voss. That is really cool. Yeah, Torpor Orb is a big pain. I think it's like 1 to 2 of in Standstill, so I'm gonna stop siding out Cratermakers. I'm actually gonna board all of them in if I have one on my sideboard as well. Lessons learned there. Torpor Orb. Very common in Standstill. The challenge. Take a look at round 4. So I was playing against Umek. Umek's known for their kind of unique blue-black control build. It's very unique to them. We'll get 1-lander on the draw. Makes sense, right? Vial gets forced, you just don't do anything. Or you get Thoughtseize, and you also don't do anything. Keep this pretty good 6. Bottom the Piledriver, because I was like, okay, this is probably a Grandee matchup. I still want my 1-drop, even though Skirk's pretty weak in the matchup. It'll push. Honestly, this trading with push is great. So Snoop, Pashalik on top. It's cool. Get triumphed. Sad. Can't really Wasteland them because I need my lands, and Wasteland do nothing is not very good. Baleful Strix. Do I think Torpor Orb's equally brutal for Texas to beat? So to beat Torpor Orb, D&T still has like Thalia and Stoneforge. I guess like turns off the search for the equipment, so you need the equipment naturally. But you do draw your swords and GTAs naturally pretty often, like over a long game. But the fact that it turns off Skyclave is a big deal. So like Goblins has Warchief, Piledriver, Pashalik Sling that are still good winged additions through Torpor Orb. And Torpor Orb on Muxus is like, depending on the matchup, like if a big creature is still really good, then it's not as impactful because Muxus still is like a 9/9 a lot of the time. Snoop's pretty good against Torpor Orb. But turning off Expert's a big deal, but like turning off Skyclave's a big deal, but they also have Plow. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's probably a little bit better versus Goblins, I think. Probably. But also, if it resolves, D&T can't get rid of it. Whereas Goblins has Cratermakers and Trashmaster, depending on the matchup. So 50-50? I don't know. They're kind of good for different... There's pros and cons there. So Ringleader gets forced, which is annoying, but, happens. Oh my god, I pressed the button too many times. Yeah. Oh god. Oh god. Game stop. Okay, it stopped. A lot of things happened there. Ringleader got Force of Willed. I played my 2/2 drops, and then I played Plague Engineer, which is like huge bummer. But I have Pashalik in my hand. Ashiok is like annoying, but like I've used 2 Matrons already, and that's the only search card in my deck aside from fetch lands, so it's not that big a deal. They do hit both my... Holy shit, Jarvis, thanks for the huge raid. We are looking at my games from the Sunday Challenge now. Taking a look at this game 1 against Umek. Hope your stream went well, Jarvis. Welcome, everyone. So now we're in this kind of awkward spot, but Pashalik is very good against Plague Engineer. So in their upkeep, because I only got 1 card left, I'm banking on them not having a removal spell here. If they do have a removal spell, it's actually not that bad. Okay, no, we're fine against removal. Is it raid or host? I think it said host. I just said raid, but it says in the thing host. So use Pashalik's ability. Ping the Plague Engineer first, because if they did kill the Pashalik in response, then the death trigger kills this, and then I still have my 2 long ones. Yeah, raid is weird, yeah. But now I get to kill everything. But they're exiling my deck away. Ringleader's an excellent draw, though. Find some mediocre cards, but I was pretty sure they have Hardcast Force, so I was just gonna play this instead of this. That's what happens. Then we get to kill the Ashiok and hit them for 2. Fetch, play Skirk, and then they concede. So win the grind despite the plague there. I think game 2 the replay bugs out eventually, but I actually lose this game to 5 mana Ashiok. Ashiok. Who knows the name of 5 mana Ashiok? It makes it 2/3. This is like a very medium hand. Let's see how I sideboarded. Blasts. Nightmare Muse, yes. Blast came in. 1 Sling-Gang came in because I'm assuming they're playing probably 3 plagues. Blast and Thorn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I boarded those 4. 3 Blast and a Thorn for 2 Lackeys and a Prospector and a Sling. So I didn't mull this medium hand because I didn't want to like mulligan and then get Thoughtseized, which is exactly what happens. Take a Matron, it's interesting. And then they have another Thoughtseize. Now it makes sense. Drawing Thorn's really nice though. Good opportunity to keep them from resolving a 3 mana walker, but then they play plague. So I play Chainwhirler, use my mana efficiently, and also can actually attack. So I play Cratermaker here, and then I don't actually use it. Because if I draw a Gempalm, I would rather Gempalm the plague, and then rather Gempalm the plague, then save this for the next thing, and plus, you know, just pressure them. So they borrow my Thorn, just cool. I'm like 99% sure their deck doesn't play Stifle, so I'm not too worried about it. Liliana comes down. I think minus. Oh, did I also board Entire Fire? Oh, I also boarded Entire Fire, yeah. Okay, so I do have 3 direct Plague Engineer answers. So here's the question of pop Cratermaker, lose your Chainwhirler, which pressures the Lily, but does the Lily actually matter? Alternatively, could let this go and then hope you draw Expert or Gempalm, and then go Piledriver plus Gempalm this attack. But I opt to pop. Or no, yeah. Actually, I do wait. It's bad if I draw. Yeah. I kind of changed my mind mid-line there. I was like, okay, I really want to be able to draw Ringleader and cast it, so that's why I don't wait. Or, yeah. Snapcaster. Ponder. There's Warchief. Warchief does unfortunately have to trade with the Snapcaster, but at least I get the Liliana off the table. EE on 2, which is good, but so is Matron. Matron for Ringleader. Pass. Got Pashalik and Lackey, so not bad. Murderous Cut. Legacy Staple. So I was feeling all right here, you know? Like, these Lackeys are obviously really bad. Yeah, I bordered 2 out for this reason, to try to not draw them late game, but here we are. And I play this Pashalik out in case of Plague. But then they have Push plus Ashiok Nightmare Muse. So, yeah, it's a big thing. This is not Shadows or Ninjas, this is blue-black control. I'm like, okay, if I draw a big thing, I'll win, but then I draw land. And there isn't actually a way to kill. I would like to just leave the 2/3 in play, and just outright kill this, but I'm 1 short of actually doing that. So kill that, and they're at 6. So I'm like, okay, I can put them to 4. They can make a 2/3. They have no cards in hand. Ponder's terrifying. Then I draw. So I'm like, okay, if I draw, I was trying to put myself in a situation where if I draw a haste creature, they die. If I draw a Sling-Gang, they die. If I draw another removal spell, they die. So I think ignoring the Ashiok is correct. And here I try to put them to 1. They drew Fatal Push off the Ponder, so they go to 2. I think we just get buried. A Murderous Rider. Hear me in my late game vials. I don't play out the second vial because they could like bounce one of these to my hand and make me discard it in the same sequence. And then they top deck Plague. And since they're going to gain life with the Murderous Rider, I can't top deck Tarfire to kill them. Yeah, the deck does have like a mill component. I do almost get milled out in game 3. Like, I think I go to less than 15 cards in library. So let's see, does sideboard anything differently? I don't think so. I think I mulligan this. Yeah, this game's mulligan that medium 7 and then go to a terrible 6. So we go to 5, but so does my opponent. So it's mull to 5 versus mull to 5. So this is an interesting, you know, what do you put back here? You can go for maximum beatdown. You can go for maximum resiliency. So maximum beatdown would be keeping like Vial, Land, Warchief, Piledriver. Pashalik, because if you draw a land in the next couple of turns, you can, on turn 4, you can swing with a whole bunch of stuff. Punching Waterfalls, I did not yet. That was from a league later. That game 1 was ridiculous. I am a little sad that I was a coward with my Ringleader, and that him got me really good. But that game 1 was really crazy. But I wanted, you know, both games 1 and 2 so far have gone turn 15 or something or later. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna try to have a resilient hand that can also apply pressure to Planeswalkers. So I bought him the Gempalm and I bought him the Warchief. This is kind of earmarked as Plague Answer, and then it seems to be generically good against their deck. Oh yeah, I keep changing my mind. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I ended up swapping the Pashalik for the Warchief because if I don't draw a land, then I at least can go Violent Piledriver, Violent Warchief, cast Cratermaker, swing for 9. Which is, you know, pretty good. Cavern, play Piledriver. This over this because of Strix. I have Dark Ritual Ashiok, which is okay with me. I'm just like, oh my god, please draw a land. If I draw a land here, I'm massively ahead. Instead, I draw a Vial. It's gonna be very easy to draw a land there. Non-fetch land. Under. Draw is not really helping out. I was like, I don't want to, like, the Ashiok doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't affect my hand in any way right now until I draw a Matron. So I thought sacrificing my Cratermaker to, like, I could, if I was going to, I was gonna end of turn pop the Snapcaster with my Plague Answer. Feels really bad. And if I draw a Cratermaker, I mean a Gempalm or Expert, it's way better to wait anyway. So I'm pretty sure waiting's correct. It ends up costing me a bunch of damage, though. There's a Strix. They're not using their Ashiok, they're just using it as a turn-off, make sure and fetch lands. There's a Port, doesn't do anything, really. Still just hitting it for 1. Just whittling it down, protection from blue. I lose my Piledriver here because I think this is better than this because this just makes my top deck so much more live with like a Ringleader. And then this, I need it for Plague. Cast the Ashiok in, play a second one. And it's also worth noting what they've hit with this Ashiok. They hit both the Muxuses on the first mill, so I know I'm no longer playing towards that as a eventual late game. They haven't shown me him, so I didn't play the land. They mill a bunch of lands into Thorn, so I'm happy I'm not drawing those cards. Snoop's pretty good. Pashalik on top, also pretty good. Wasteland on top, less good, but you know. You could keep him off double black. And here I can get some damage in because this is a forked bolt now. It's a little risky though. So pop. They have Dismember, which is like, and a Hole Breacher, which I was really surprised was in the deck. But I wanted to kill this. Seemed like a good spot to do it. So we trade off a whole ton of resources. I'm like slightly ahead, I think. Because Warchief's throws are so threatening. I think they top deck Plague here. Yeah. The Wasteland I knew about. But now I'm keeping them off double black, which is something. They hit the other Cratermaker. So I have no Cratermakers, so I have to kill this some other way. I do have Tarkfire in my deck. Lackey is textless. There's an Expert, which is like the eventual way I have to get rid of this thing. All right, so they attack, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for it there. It's pretty bad that they have a second Murderous Cut. No. Yeah. Oh, they Dismember before, yeah. Matron doesn't do anything. Yeah, I was very surprised on this game. And then they have EE below both the vials. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm dead. Top deck Ringleader is the way out. Praise be Ringleader. Just hit Chainwhirler though. But Chainwhirler is still very good in sport. It kills this, unlocks the Matron, kills this, lets me pressure. So the cash it in, there's the other Gempalm. So I have one Expert left. And then one more Gempalm too. Right. Yeah, I draw for turn. This is the power of Chainwhirler right here, actually. I get to attack, to kill the Strix, and I probably should have Gempalmed before damage. I cost myself damage for no reason. I draw Pyroblast, which is cool. So they did actually have the removal spell, but because, like, I think Chainwhirler is the only card in my deck that would have enabled me to do that, right? Kill Plague with the Gempalm through removal spell. Worth noting that for this game 3, I did board in the Trashmaster because I saw they're playing multiple Plagues, plus Strix. You know, Trashmaster's kind of nice against Strix. So goodbye Chainwhirler. Matron is here. I have no Muxuses left because of the mills. And now I'm just beating them down. Hold up Blast. Blast their Ponder. And that's it. Yes, I'm on 13 cards in Library. They milled most of my deck with those 2 Ashioks. So pretty insane for a mull to 5 for both of us. Pretty insane. This is a quality game. Last game I'll go over from the challenge is this game 3 against Piledriver because I thought this is a good example of how to beat Stifle, I thought. So, pretty easy keep. Because blue-red, top deck Vial. I do play the Lackey, though, because they let on Mountain. They can't go kill Lackey plus Wasteland. Hey, Orchid. How you doing, friend? So they can't do Bolt plus Wasteland on the Cavern, so it feels pretty safe. The only thing they could do to punish me would, I mean, like, Wasteland plus Delver would be kind of annoying, but then I'd just trade and play Prospector, probably. They do have Hydro Blast, which is a card I was not thinking of. But now, double Vial. I was thinking I'm fine if they daze me there because of TNN. All right. So they flipped a Preordain. The fact that they tapped this way with a Cavern in play screams that they have Stifle. I'm like, okay, this Chainwhirler can kill this Pyromancer, but I need to pull this Stifle out of their hand. So I'm not concerned with how many tokens the Pyromancer makes, as long as I can pull the Stifle out of their hand. All right, here's Gempalm. Here's the key. This Gempalm is the key. So there are ways to... I could Violin the Skirk. And then Gempalm the Pyromancer. And if they stifle that, cool, right? That's okay. Problem is, I don't have a direct answer to Delver anymore. This Gempalm kind of needs to kill this Delver. Also, it gets them to use the Stifle on my turn instead of their turn. So but if I wait, then they can bolt instead of Stifle to quote unquote stifle the Gempalm. So here I opt to just play the Piledriver. Piledriver is not even that bad on this board just because it'll block the Pyromancer, so it saves us 2 damage. Or saves us 2 life, rather. So Preordain, that's fine. I'm really just hoping they'll tap out. I don't think they will because they heavily represent a Stifle. The danger of taking this line is that if they Wasteland and then I don't draw another land, this Gempalm is a lot harder to use. Do Wasteland me. Bond the Prospector. Draw a land. There's an argument to fetch in their upkeep to bait the Stifle. I think that's reasonable, but I really want this second land as the thing. It's like, I'm in this weird bind where I really want to be able to use both these cards. Granted, with this is doable as long as you have a board. But I didn't feel, I'm going to 11, I'm okay. It's about a 3 and 3, which you don't see too often. Draw a port, which is kind of cool because now I don't need to fetch at all. Because now I'm thinking about my life total. I just literally don't want to take 1 damage for free. Now this is a really complicated kind of spot. What do you do here? Bolt's pretty likely, right? You know, they've got They've gone through 15 cards. Their deck probably has 6 bolts in it. Probably like 4 bolt. Abrade effectively is the same thing here. So we'll say 6 instant speed removal spells. They've shown Hydroblast. I don't think there's a world where they play multiple Hydroblast, but you also think about like Brazen Borrower. So 6 or 7 instant speed ways to remove a creature from play. So what I go for here is I need this to connect with this, and I need this to connect with this. But Pashalik does let me kill this Delver in other ways if it gets 1 damage on it. I could just sack a Goblin. I could just sack the Prospector or the Piledriver. So, gonna lead on Gempalm and then Gempalm the Delver and see what they do. Because I think the reaction that this will most likely bait out is Bolt on one of these 2 creatures. And that's what they do. They bolt the Piledriver. And now, I let the token resolve. Violent Pashalik. Because... And I put the damage on the Pyromancer. I think this is actually a mistake. Because I was thinking that if they had Stifle, they might be tempted to stifle this thing. But that doesn't make sense because then I can just sack a Prospector to do it again. So that doesn't make sense for them to do. I think I could have put this on here, on the Delver. So let that go, and then they Stifle. They could have gotten 1 more token out of this, not that it matters, but I did get the Stifle out of their hand. And it's not that bad, because I'm still drawing a card, and I draw a Reb, which is really nice insurance. So now I get to Chainwhirler. And then I thought about taking this damage, but since this already has 1 damage on it, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And then if they had Stifle here, then I can Reb with Daze Protection. I should have fetched there, but I realized my mistake and then I fetch. So that was a very tight sequence, I thought. I thought that was a really cool spot. I draw an Expert. I think I actually make a mistake here. I think porting here is wrong because of Daze and True Name. And they end up having a True Name, but not the Daze. But I think I could have played around Daze by just not porting. And also it's just better just like hold up the Expert if they play another creature anyway. But War Marshal's really good. Play War Marshal. And now they're just kind of screwed. So that was for the 5 and 2. That was really tight. Yeah, let's look at this game 1 here. Game 2 is like a non-game because I kept a hand that was like, okay, please don't kill my Lackey. I'll win on turn 3 if you don't have an answer for Lackey, and then you have an answer for Lackey into like I didn't draw any of my play answers. This is against Grixis control. I forget if I keep all of this. Yeah, I keep this. It's really weird to keep this on the draw to some extent, but it's so much mana denial, and you've double Cavern. Plus, I'm pretty sure I thought Punching Waterfalls always plays blue decks, so I thought it was fine. Inquisition, just ugh. Then Top Deck Vial, just great. I wasn't really sure what I was playing against at this point. Inquisition, Ponder's kind of weird. Still was not sure. War Marshal's great. Get K command. I'm like, oh god, it's Grixis control. But here I'm like, okay, I'm gonna not pay Echo, and I'm gonna double port black. Or I could see an argument for blue. I go for black though. So snap Ponder. So the port's good there. Stops snap K command. Gempalm. Bolt happens. It's fine. Waste red. Play second War Marshal. War Marshal's so nice in this matchup, especially game 1. So play Liliana's terrifying. Strix. Yeah. I had to get lucky there. I had to draw a red source. But draw red source, I'd be in a really, really good spot, because then I can just attack with everything, expert the Leona before damage. And then I'm just like really, really ahead. But now I'm in a bad spot because my opponent can buy back Snapcaster and then K command. I do play the Piledriver. I think that's probably wrong, but it's like kind of, if he down ticks the Snapcaster, then the Liliana dies to the expert, which was what I was thinking. So snap K command, release my Snoop. Draw another one though. Trade-off happens. Could I have just, hold on, could I have just killed the Snapcaster and kept an extra goblin? Potentially. Hull Breacher doesn't really do anything, just is a 3-2. Top deck Matron, but I go for the Snoop instead. Sling-Gang's on top, which is cool. Cling to Dust. This Cling is like a draw 4 over the course of this game. So Jace. So draw my Sling-Gang, and there's an Expert on top, which is obviously insane. So unless his hand has 2 1-mana removal spells, then he can't save the Jace. I could have killed the Expert, killed the Hull Breacher there. So let's think about that. So if he has a removal spell, he gets to keep the Jace because he kills the Snoop. But maybe he would have killed the Snoop anyway. Like in my draw step. No, Expert was on top. Punishing Waterfalls, if you're here, did you have removal spells here? And would you have killed the Snoop if you had one? I think you did have removal spells. But obviously, it would have been preferable to kill this. Brainstorm. Push. Okay. Alright. Boarding red. Here's snap. Not great snap targets right now. Just a brainstorm, I think. Push. Put for the Snoop, yeah. And here, I was like, okay, it's turn 10. I've drawn 1. I've discarded a Cavern to... So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've drawn 6 lands. And 1 Vial. So it's 7 lands. Or 7 non-goblins, I should say. So I was trying to do the math on, like, what's the likelihood of this Ringleader bricking? And I thought it was a little too high, but I think I did the math wrong. I probably am supposed to jam Ringleader here because of Hymn to Turok. I totally forgot about Hymn to Turok. So I end up playing the Sling-Gang here to try to get up on board. Soul Breacher being a 3-2 is like randomly very annoying. So flashback, cling, and then I get hymned. Yeah, it's just like the most brutal hymn. It's most brutal hymn. And let's keep track of what this Ringleader would have hit. So I have another Ringleader on top of my deck, and then I get K commanded. Yeah, so that's like absolute worst case, absolutely imaginable. Like giga punished. If I had 1 more card in my hand, I'd be like very ahead. So the Ringleader would have hit Ringleader. And then let's see. So cling happens, puts on 0 cards, they draw a card. Cling again, yep. Land. Bolt. It's a Jace. I would have hit another Ringleader. So I would have hit double Ringleader with that. And Prospector or Lackey, I'm not sure which way it shows. Yeah, so if I'd cast the Ringleader, I would have been really far ahead. So he Force of Will is just to use the Force of Will because Force of Will is never being live. And then him hits the 2 best cards in my hand. It's the Matron. I never get to resolve a Matron like at all. Snapcake command again. Cratermaker finally lets me start attacking. I didn't want to trade off everything because then he could just fate sell me out of the game. Alright, so the lesson there, don't be a coward with your ringleaders. Third Snapcaster. I think I top deck Muxus? No. But these ports are good though, because it means I can't get draw step K commanded anymore. But I am kind of dying. There's the Muxus. But it's not like a very good one. Yeah, it's actually very, very bad. Cling again. This one clings, drawn so many cards. There's the big fish. Now I draw some lands for a while. Keeping lands in my hands for draw step K command because now he's a red source in my upkeep. Block, kill the Hull Breacher. And here's where I start drawing late game vials. Yeah. Now I am dead just to unsummon. Yeah, so the Ringleader would actually have been the play. Just forgot about him to Turok. Obviously, him into draw step K command on your other Ringleaders, like worst case imaginable. But so it goes. Game 2, I just get dunked on by the Turn 3 Plague with push for Lackey. So a lot of games. So like over the weekend, I went 5-4, 5-2, 5-0, 4-1. Pretty happy with that. But I'm finding the sharpshooter's bad, but I was struggling to think what I want to put in this last slot, so I'm going with a third Cratermaker. Because in the matchups where Cratermaker is really important, you don't really want to tutor for it. You want to tutor for other things. Like you never want to. You don't want to tutor for Cratermaker against Show and Tell. And you don't have time to matron for it against Eldrazi. You know, you want to have it naturally, and then your matrons can find other things. But I'm still really happy with this list. I think the mana base is really strong relative to most Goblins lists. I think the main deck's really good. I think the Thorn is like, eh. It's like never that good. So I could see it being something else, but I'm not sure what it'd be. Like second Surgical, I guess. But like, yeah, it's not that many graveyard decks. Alright, we'll play a bit. Let's see what's up. Sure, we got the right deck list. Yep. Hope everyone enjoyed that breakdown. There's a lot of interesting games there, I thought.